Most people spend their entire lives believing that wealth is the reward of struggle, that abundance belongs only to the lucky, and that poverty is a permanent companion they must somehow tolerate. Yet in this very moment, there is a silent and divine law moving through your mind, which can overturn every limitation you have ever accepted if you are willing to speak to life with a new authority. The ancient teachers of spiritual law declared that the word is a seed planted in the invisible soil of consciousness, and whatever is planted with faith must eventually appear in visible form, whether it is freedom or bondage, peace or fear, riches or endless lack. When you repeatedly say that money never stays with you, that opportunity is scarce, or that success is reserved for others, you are not describing your circumstances but designing them, carving a path for experience to follow with unwavering precision. Yet the divine formula for wealth is not found in frantic effort or clever schemes, but in aligning your spoken word with the universal intelligence that already longs to express abundance through you, because creation is generous by nature and only waits for your permission to flow. You have been trained by society to respect conditions more than convictions, to let bills, disappointments, and past failures speak louder than your own authority. But spiritual law teaches that the word spoken with expectancy is mightier than any external evidence, and when you choose a new declaration, you choose a new destiny. Every time you affirm that supply is unlimited and that you are a perfect channel for prosperity, the subconscious mind rearranges your inner world, dissolving patterns of fear and replacing them with ideas, impulses, and coincidences that look like miracles, yet are simply the harvest of your faithful speech. You are not meant to beg life for crumbs, for the divine inheritance is not earned but accepted, and the acceptance is sealed with the words you choose to repeat when no one is listening. Imagine the freedom of releasing the old vocabulary of worry and replacing it with living affirmations that proclaim wealth as natural, expected, and inevitable. Because when the mind is impressed with truth, it cannot help but produce results in harmony with that truth. There is a sacred dignity in speaking abundance, even when the world offers proof to the contrary, and that dignity is the doorway through which opportunities unseen begin to appear in ordinary days. People who transform their lives rarely do so by chance. They do it by making a quiet decision to speak, as though the highest good is already on its way, and the universe, obedient to law, reshapes itself to confirm their declaration. You may have been told that it is foolish to speak of wealth when debt surrounds you. Yet spiritual wisdom insists that faith is not pretending but commanding, not ignoring reality but recreating it from the inside outward. Today, you are invited to participate in this divine formula by guarding your words as treasures, by refusing to let despair narrate your story, and by daring to claim that abundance is your natural state. Because the moment you change the sentence you speak about your life, you begin writing a future no circumstance can prevent. Just when you begin to feel the gentle excitement of this truth, a subtle tension often arises, because the mind trained in limitation resists the idea that a few simple words could undo years of struggle, and this resistance is the hidden gate that stands between you and the wealth you seek. Many people try affirmations once or twice, then abandon them when nothing appears to change, never realizing that the old patterns of poverty do not surrender quietly, for they are defended by habits of speech formed through long seasons of fear and disappointment. At this turning point in the journey, there is suspense, because the invisible battle between the former identity and the new vision is underway, and the outcome is determined by whether you persist in declaring prosperity when everything around you seems unchanged. The divine law does not operate by haste, but by certainty, and when you speak a new word, you set forces in motion that must pass through layers of consciousness before they reach the outer world, like seeds traveling through dark soil before they meet the sun. There are countless stories of individuals who stood on the brink of surrender, ready to retreat into the familiar language of lack. Yet in that moment of doubt, they chose instead to reaffirm that their supply was immediate, that divine ideas were now flowing, and that every apparent obstacle was only a veil concealing a blessing already prepared. It is here that the drama of transformation deepens, because the human mind demands evidence while the spiritual law demands faith, and the two seem to speak different languages until patience becomes the bridge between them. The fear that whispers you are deluding yourself is not a sign of failure, but a sign that old beliefs are being dislodged, for they cling fiercely to survival and protest when challenged by a higher command. When you persist, something remarkable begins to happen inside, as anxiety loosens its grip and a calm expectancy takes its place, and this inner shift is the true miracle, because it signals that the subconscious mind has accepted your new decree. The outer change may still be hidden at this stage, and this is where many people falter, mistaking silence for rejection, yet spiritual law assures that the silence is not empty but pregnant with outcomes. In the stillness between your spoken word and its manifestation, the divine intelligence is arranging meetings, opening unseen doors, and guiding you toward ideas that align perfectly with your renewed belief, even though you may not yet perceive the pattern. This period feels like standing in the hallway of destiny, aware that something significant is approaching, but unable to name its form. And this suspense tests whether you will retreat into the old story or continue to speak as a master of your fate. When you maintain your declarations of abundance, despite doubt, you impress upon life the image of a person who expects wealth as a natural companion, and expectation is the magnet that draws experiences to itself. Many have testified that their breakthrough arrived just after they resolved to keep affirming prosperity even when they felt foolish, and this is no coincidence, because persistence is the proof of belief, and belief is the engine of creation. The formula is not dramatic effort, but unwavering speech, for your words are the architect of tomorrow, quietly shaping events that will soon step into your world, bearing the signature of your faith. Now the invisible work reaches its moment of revelation, because when the word has been faithfully spoken and patiently guarded, life begins to answer in ways that feel both surprising and perfectly timed, as if a benevolent order has finally been allowed to express itself without interference. The poverty mentality that once ruled your decisions loses its authority, and you find yourself thinking in larger, freer patterns, noticing ideas that were always present but previously hidden behind the noise of worry. This is the stage where the divine formula for wealth ceases to be theory and becomes experience, where you witness opportunities emerging from directions you never anticipated, not as lucky accidents, but as confirmations of the law you have activated. You realize that wealth is not a distant destination, but a current flowing through consciousness, and by maintaining your affirmations, you keep the channel open for that current to move without obstruction. The daily declaration that opens the doors to abundance is not a mechanical chant, but a living truth spoken with gratitude, a recognition that you are already supported by an infinite source that delights in expression through you. As this understanding settles, generosity replaces fear, because when you trust the supply, you no longer clutch at resources but allow them to circulate, and circulation is the rhythm of prosperity. Your life becomes a testimony to the power of words, not because you preach them, but because your circumstances begin to mirror the inner language you have chosen to speak, and people notice the calm assurance with which you face challenges that once would have overwhelmed you. The memory of debt, scarcity, and anxious nights does not vanish, yet it no longer defines you, serving instead as evidence that transformation is not reserved for the exceptional, but available to anyone willing to discipline their speech. In this final movement of your renewal, you understand that destiny is not imposed from above, but invited from within, and that the divine intelligence has always been waiting for your consent to operate freely. You stand no longer as a victim of conditions, but as a collaborator with the creative force that governs all increase, and this collaboration is maintained simply by continuing to affirm the truth of your abundance each day. When moments of doubt appear, as they sometimes will, you meet them not with argument, but with a calm restatement of your prosperity, knowing that the law responds not to emotion, but to conviction. The formula is complete when you realize that every word you speak is a command, every declaration a blueprint, and every affirmation a seed that must bear fruit in its own appointed time. Your journey from limitation to liberty becomes a quiet example of spiritual authority, and the wealth you experience is measured not only in currency, but in peace, clarity, and purpose. This is the destiny that unfolds when you align your speech with divine law, for you were never meant to struggle endlessly, but to participate consciously in the abundance that already surrounds you, waiting to be claimed through the simplest and most powerful act of all, the deliberate word spoken in faith. If you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.